thank you, Agri, for joining me. This is going to be a really interesting one. Agri is a professional automotive designer, and we're going to be getting into some of his workflow and his processes today, and looking through how he uses some of the tools that he uses. Um, if you haven't met me before, my name is Jaron Dorman. I'm the design community manager at Gravity Sketch, and I get to talk with all of you out there in our amazing community that uses Gravity Sketch, but even more than that, so many other tools like what Agri is going to be showing today. And so it's just my pleasure to speak to you, Agri, and actually get a deep look into how you use some of these tools. Um, yeah, if you just want to introduce yourself really quick, Agri, and tell everybody like who you are and what you do, maybe how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so thank you for Gravity Sketch and you, Jaron, especially for inviting me here. And yes, for introduction, my name is Agri. You pronounce it like agree, and I agree with you. And I'm a car designer. I was working in one of design studio owned by Toyota in Japan around 4 years. And then now I'm doing work for myself. I'm focused on automotive parametric design and I'm using Gravity Sketch. I think it's been a while, maybe 2 years. I think
Wow.
it's a few moments after the Oculus, the second one,
Yeah. The Quest 2?
revealed some. Yeah, the Quest 2. Yeah,
Yeah. Is that what you mainly use for VR? Use the Quest 2 headset?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I only use the Quest 2 only.
Okay.
Sometimes I use the PC version of it, but because I use like MacBook, so I need a boot
I
camp. It's
see.
kind of complicated. So I prefer
Yeah.
to use the standalone Oculus, and it's already awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, just a little side note. I hope hopefully we can support on Mac at some point in the future. That's a question that we get
please,
sometimes. Um,
please, yes,
yeah.
please.
I mean, we would love to. It's more so on the side of Apple, but yeah, I think it'll happen eventually. Well, yeah, just thank you for being here. I agree is I think is the correct pronunciation there, like you said. So I wanted to ask you just kind of a broad question. How did you get into automotive design? How did you get into designing cars in the first place? Like, what drew you to that?
So basically, it wasn't my dream actually. I was dreaming to be comic artist instead because I like to draw character and stuff. And then my family directed me to take product design when I entered university. And
Wow.
actually, I was kind of disappointed because it's totally different with my dream. And then I found that car design was one of product design in the subject. And then I tried to do the automotive design. I tried to start drawing car design, and I getting to like it. When I draw car, it feels like I draw character actually. So it's kind of related with my old dream. If you know, there are a lot of car with different character, right? There are a car with angry face, with friendly face, with like
Yeah.
tough face, like Hulk, like superhero stuff somehow.
Yeah.
So that take me into car, especially the exterior one.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. I've never heard of that comparison, but it makes so much sense when you say it because cars really do have like a personality. They have a character to them. They have a face, like you said. That's so true. I mean, oftentimes, I mean, I went to automotive design school as well, and
Mm.
one of our courses was literally like we talked about the front graphics of the car being like a face, and so that makes so much sense. But and so okay, so you got into automotive design. Basically, your parents directed you into product design. You found automotive,
Mm.
and you began to like it. And so eventually, you just obviously continue with that, right? And then working in the industry. And so, what led you to where you are now, where you're actually doing your own work?
Yeah, I did something like freelance, but it's more like my own business somehow. I serving people with what I can do for them. Yeah, basically, after 4 years working in Japan, I realized that I think I have to try to do something working for myself, and and I've been kind of like decided since like 3 years ago. I feel like maybe I'm not so suitable working for a company, so I have to try to working by myself, and that's why I choose to kind of quit from my company and then try to work by myself. But it's not easy because it's mindset things, like from working for a company and then you working for yourself. A lot of things that I have to learn. So to doing that, I try to join community related to business and personal
Mm.
branding, and then I join like a course that related that may be going to be useful for my own business, and it is actually the parametric design. That's why I focus on the automotive parametric design now because I have this kind of two expertise here,
Mm.
and yeah, and now I'm still like building it. I'm gonna launch my website in the near future, and then now I'm still like um, gathering a lot of case study that to show my value to people, to my client. But I already have some client already, but yeah,
Wow,
I
that's
haven't
awesome.
really published it now. But
Okay. So
soon, near the future.
that's exciting. Yeah. Well, so it sounds like you focus a lot on the parametric. You said you focus a lot on the
Yes.
parametric side of things. Because I was going to ask you what services you provide in your business. It sounds like it's more like that generative parametric, uh, almost like patterning. Is that maybe another word that you could use for it?
Yeah, a lot of word for parametric. People also say it's computational design,
Yeah.
or what you say is kind of pattern. Is That's the easiest way to describe it actually because it's mostly about pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah, and generic design as well is kind of related to that. Yeah, and then I applied in some car design like wheel. Recently I have like collaboration work to make wheel, and then I apply my parametric skill on it. Also maybe I think it can be applied in any surface actually, like exterior, interior, depends on what client needed. So yeah, it can be applied everywhere as long as it has like a whole big surface to make it easier to put the parametric um, surface, something like that.
But I wanted to ask you, what are the tools that you use for these, for these projects that you're doing? Like, um, I guess what are your go-to digital tools?
Yeah, I'm using Grasshopper and Rhino. Uh, yeah, so actually there's two situation here. I don't really use Rhino. I use GraphDiscat a lot. So
Okay.
I make the for my personal project I made the model from GraphDiscat, and then I export it to Rhino, and then I did some rebuilding to the surface that I want to apply the parametric, and then yeah, and then I apply the parametric with Grasshopper or something like that. But from client they usually send me like a lot of type of file, sometimes from Alias, sometimes from Rhino itself, sometimes from Blender as well. Yeah, it's Blender.
Wow,
And yeah,
interesting.
so the main challenge actually when you want to apply the parametric is the how you rebuilding it,
Mm,
because like surface like subdivision, it's something that actually super hard if you want to apply the parametric directly, but you have to rebuilding it to something that um, able to be a canvas where you apply the parametric stuff. So that's it actually.
yeah, that's interesting. When you said Blender, I was like, oh, that must be kind of difficult to do parametric, sort of to use like something like Grasshopper over it, because it's by nature the geometry is made up of all of these quads and all of these
Mm-hmm.
polygons, and so it's like
Yeah.
it's totally kind of a different construction. Um, but are you saying then that if you get something from Blender or you get like a sub D mesh, are you saying that you have to actually rebuild that into something that is that will work with Grasshopper, or like do you have to rebuild it in Rhino?
Uh, yeah, I rebuilt it in Rhino, and then with that I put the grasshopper pattern in it. But depends on the situation. Actually, there are a lot of case depends on how complex is the surface as well. Sometimes I rebuild it in Rhino and then I rebuild it again in Grasshopper.
Mm,
So sometimes it's not an easy process actually. Yeah.
interesting.
So and also I think like in my experience, almost all the subdivision surface in most software is kind of similar in my opinion. I try to compare the subdivision of um, Gravity Sketch and Rhino is kind of similar, and then the way I rebuild, I still have to rebuilding the surface to apply my parametric. So it's kind of similar, and then even from Alias, uh, I still have to rebuilding the surface, and I can see that the behavior of the subdivision actually is pretty similar. So any
Interesting.
subdivision is kind of similar in my
Interesting.
experience. Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, so why don't we look a little bit into that? Because I know you have a workflow that you use. Um, so, what exactly are the steps that you take? Say you got something from Blender or Gravity Sketch, and you wanted to apply your workflow. Say with Grasshopper, you wanted to create these patterns or sort of generative panels, on that surface. What would be like the steps that you take?
I think I can share screen.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It looks great.
yeah. So I think this is can be a good example of how I uh, apply parametric to surface from a model that I made in Gravity Sketch. So as you can see here, um, that this bike, it's whole. I made whole the model in Gravity Sketch, and then I export it in the Rhino, and I export it with the FBX format, and it works great, even though it's like beta from the Gravity Sketch Oculus. And then I pick the surface that I want to apply the parametric, and then that surface I'm rebuilding it, and after I rebuilding it, I can apply the parametric on it.
Wow.
So actually, it's that simple. And then here we go, the model is done.
So when you're
Mm.
rebuilding it, are you creating new curves? You're creating a whole new surface, right? So you're drawing
Yeah,
new curves and building a whole new surface. That's what you mean when you say you rebuild it, right?
yeah, that's
Okay.
true. That's
Okay.
true actually. So basically, like from the surface that I got from Gravity Sketch, I converted it into nerfs first, and then from the nerf, I tried to it to take like it depends. Actually, a lot of case is very confusing to explain. But in this case, I actually rebuilding by convert the surface that I got from Gravity Sketch to NURBS, and then I took the edge of the surface, and then I make a surface on it. That's the easiest way to explain. But
I
actually, it's
see.
more complicated than that, or
Uh huh.
complex than.
Sure. So, have you ever tried? I'm just curious. Have you ever tried the IGES file type from Gravity Sketch? Um,
I haven't because
okay.
I think I need the business account for that. So I haven't tried it yet.
Well, you should be able to export IGES with the with. I think we've opened that up to everybody, but
Oh,
I'll have to
maybe
double
for the
check
PC
that.
version, not the Oculus standalone.
Yeah, might be PC. I don't know if we actually can do
Oh,
that in the cloud export yet, but yeah,
oh
um,
yeah, I'll check it out. I'll try that.
yeah,
Sounds good. I
yeah. It
just
might
will
be
be easier.
yeah, it might be helpful in your workflow.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you too about your Bugatti project as well, because that was not my first introduction. I've been following you for a minute on the Gravity Sketch side, just on the socials. But the Bugatti was like one of the most recent ones that I saw that you've done, and it really caught my eye just because the surfacing was so nice um, and obviously a really cool design. Can you just talk a little bit about that project and um, sort of what inspired you to create that vehicle?
Oh, actually, it's a collab project, so I will not.
All right.
I think it's hard for me to do that by myself. So I did a collab with a guy, a very talented guy named Facundo, or FCD94 Art is his account. You guys need to check his account because he's a very talented guy.
Yeah.
So actually, I never met him before, but I saw him doing collab in Instagram, and then I invite him to collab with me, and then yeah, it's kind of weird actually when you meet somebody and then you try to do collab, but Actually, it's super fun because the feeling when I do collab with him is like the feeling when I was still a child, and then I went to beach with my family and meet some random kids there, and then make a castle from the sand, and we kind of like become close because we chat while making this the castle. It's something like that. So we have a good conversation, and then the result itself is unpredictably super good. I love that. Yeah.
That is so fascinating because this is exactly what we wanted when we released Collab to everybody, which is for people to connect with each other and just work together, create together, be creative, and that's exactly what happened here. Um, and so you basically just reached out to Facundo, right? And then you guys just
Yeah.
started working, and
Yeah.
that's super
Yeah.
fun. As we're seeing that happen more, a little bit more often in our community, where we've got a community, users just like reaching out randomly, or even posting on their Instagram, like making an announcement, like, "Hey, I want to work with you. Let's do something." Um, so, what would you say then? How do you see the future of collab for designers, for creators, um, sort of expanding? I guess like creative potential on projects. Like where do you see collab going?
Oh, I think it's gonna be really great, and I hope it's gonna be great because I'm kind of person who like working at home. So
Yeah.
with collab, I think it's going to be really useful for me. And yeah, I think it's getting better. Uh, I mean, people, I think there will be more people will buy the VR tools. And then, of course, they will try Collab and Gravity Sketch because it's free. And then, yeah, of course, it's going to be like a social media in the future, but in a more creative way.
Do you
I think that's
imagine
what I
using it?
see.
Yeah. Do you imagine
Mm.
using it in your business more, like maybe using it as like as a tool for presenting or showing something, or do you imagine just strictly using it for creation and creativity and collaborations?
Oh, yeah, I can see that actually. Yeah, that's actually what I can see. Then I really hope for in the future as well, like showing my. I think that should come true actually, like showing my design in one by one scale to my client with the collab. It's gonna be something that's really great.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted to
and
ask you that
I
because
think it's happening.
yeah,
It's happening already.
yeah, I just want to ask you that because we've been seeing that as well, where some uh, many professionals in our community are asking how to use Collab with their clients, and of course, now it's available for everybody. They can just you know add their client person's email to the to landing pad, and then they can show the designs. Of course, the client has to have VR and Gravity Sketch as well, but um, it's a very interesting way of presenting, and I think just a space or a feature that we haven't quite seen um, the edges of it yet. But so with this Bugatti design, what did you use to render this car with? So like, what's your rendering tool of choice?
Oh, actually, it's Facundo who did that. He did great
Okay,
for
okay,
rendering it. I think he told me that he rendered with K-Shot.
okay, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Do
he's
you
so good at that.
what do you use? Because I know you do renderings as well. What's sort
Hmm.
of your tool of choice when you do digital renderings?
Yeah. For now, I'm using K-Shot as well.
Okay.
Um, but sometimes I just use the screenshot of Gravity Sketch and overlay sketch on it to make like my own rendering. But I also no, I'm also trying the Adobe Substance with my
I've
Gravity
been
Sketch
seeing
model.
I've been seeing that growing as well. A lot of people using
Mm.
Substance. Um, how have you found that workflow, taking something from Gravity Sketch into Substance?
It's no problem at all. In my case actually, it's like one of model that I export to Rhino, so I have to reconvert it to mesh again to to be able to render in Substance stage, and it works flawless. Actually, it's great. Hmm.
Um,
It's similar to when I use K-Shot, but in kind of different style of feeling. I love
right.
it actually.
Well, the beauty
Yeah.
of it is that it's kind of like some people compare it to Photoshop, like as well, like as far as the layer structure. Um,
Mm.
but the benefit obviously is that you get this texturing aspect, whereas with Keyshot it's great because it's drag and drop materials, but with Substance you can get sort of more control on the texturing and
Mm.
edge, sort of edge wear and tear if you want sort of like a weathered look. Um, and yeah, we've been seeing some pretty amazing stuff. I think we've also seen footwear really starting to adopt Substance as well into the workflow, which has been really interesting to see, for fabrics and that kind of thing. Um, I wanted to ask you too, really quick, about is this another collaboration that you've been working on with Calvin Kim, this
Yeah,
Mercedes? Did you want to talk a
yeah,
little bit about
yeah.
that? How'd that come about?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of same approach actually. So I think he made a comment on my Instagram when I did collab with Facundo, and then I think he kind of interested to collab with me, and then I invited him to collab with me, and whoa, I have to say that he's also really productive guy and really talented guy. He made a lot of good stuff with crafty sketch. Like he made something a real Bugatti model that I never thought actually it's actually able to make in crafty sketch, but he made it. And yeah,
Wow.
and then we decided to do collab. And when I came, so we make an appointment, yeah, like let's do this in Saturday in this time, and then the first time I jumped into the room, he already made like a lot of stuff that he made like a day before, just for preparation to collab with me because he know that I like sports cars, so he made all those red sports car if you see it. And I was like surprised. This guy is super fast and talented because all the design is really cool. And yeah, and we talking a lot introduction, and we we just without no idea like let's
Wow.
just do the Mercedes stuff because he like Mercedes. And yeah, and
Uh,
no concept at all, we just like do sketch with 3D pen together and surfacing it with the subdivision stuff. And yeah, and I think the result is always
yeah.
unexpectedly really great to
I
anybody as well, like to Facundo as well. Like the result is really great. Yeah.
I just love looking at these screenshots you have of it, like almost like designers are literally drawing the tape drawing over the clay. That's so awesome. I love that.
I have to say that's our Calvin idea as well. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so he's super productive because like I think it was like uh in the middle of night here, so I just say goodbye. I have to sleep, but he stay because he is in the other side of Earth, so it's like still afternoon there, and then he
Okay.
continued it and then make all of those skin, all of the scene, and
That's
yeah,
what's so
it's
amazing
his
about it.
idea and it's great.
Wow. Yeah, see, that's what's so amazing to me about it, and still just excites me is you guys were able to do this work, but you're on the other side of the world, locationally, but still able to work almost in a digital physical space, where you get this sense of scale, which is so cool. So is this project still ongoing? Because I noticed there weren't too many more images on it on your Instagram. Does that mean you guys are still working on the car, or is that just how far? That's as far as you wanted to go with it.
I think we haven't planned anything yet with that model, but yeah, we're planning to have collab again another in the near future. And I think every time I meet this guy, like Facundo or Kevin, every time we meet and jump in room in the different day, we met a different car. We met like different vehicle. Like that always happened because when we did it like together, it's very fast. It's
Yeah.
very quick. We can make from
Wow.
scratch and then to the kind of final model with by collab feature.
That's
That's
incredible.
really cool.
That is really cool. Wow. Um, well, I'm just fascinated by all of this work, and of course, you do great sort of traditional work as well. I see you do like, I think it's Photoshop um, renderings as well. Is that what you're using, Photoshop, or what do you use for 2D?
I use Photoshop professionally, but also use Procreate just for fun.
Okay. Yeah, you do some incredible just 2D work as well, and we'll be showing those over the video now as well. But yeah, for anybody watching, please go check out Agree's work on Instagram. Is there any other place that you'd like people to follow you and check out your work and see what you're up to, other
I
than
think
Instagram?
Instagram is my I think Instagram now is my main
Okay,
social media to show my work. So yeah,
awesome.
I think that's enough.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Agree. This has been super interesting, just to see your workflow and look at your work. Um, yeah, we'll be having his contact information in the description, and you can go check out Agree's work and follow what he's doing, any future collaboration sessions that he's up to. So, and of course, if you have any work that you'd like to reach out to Agree, there's his contact information will be down there. Um, just thank you so much, Agree, for joining me and for talking with me. And yeah, it's a pleasure to talk with you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to talk with you guys and connect with you guys. It's awesome.
Sweet. Thanks. Bye, everybody.